Howdy, gang, and welcome to another edition of I Know What You Shot on Video. Tonight we're going to be covering The Bleeder from 1983 and Blonde Death, also from 1983, although some places list it as 1984, I believe. So I don't know how many we're going to have in here tonight. Um, these shot on video films are kind of iffy whether people are going to be interested or not, but I thought I would go ahead and cover them regardless. Some people may want to watch this on the replay. I'm not planning on being on here very long with these two films tonight. The Bleeder is 80 minutes, while Blonde Death is an amazingly long for a shot on video film at 98 minutes. But we're going to get to those here in just a little bit. But I did want to remind you of the things coming up for the rest of the week, which will be tomorrow, because I will not be having any watch alongs this weekend. This will be my weekend off for the watch alongs. And after a few months of a break from the movie Munchies, they will return. However, they will no longer be lives, they will all be pre-recorded. I think that's a better choice. I don't think they work as well as I originally thought they would as lives. So when the movie Munchies do return, they will all be pre-recorded. And I think that will be a better choice based on what I just said, but also because there won't be dead space in them. And I'm really lazy about editing out that dead space. So, hey, Blissful, you may be the only one in here tonight. Listen to me talk about these couple of shot on video films. But, and I owe you messages too, because I know that you sent me at least one message today, and I think you may have sent me something last night as well. So I promise I will get back with you on that. But tomorrow will be a double dose of me. The second time around, I will be joined by Candace. Oh, thank you, Blissful. You said no worries. We've had a slight change of programming, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But Terror Time Tea will be first at about 11:45 Eastern Time in the morning. Hey, Ginger, how are you doing? It's good to see you in here. But I will be talking about Luther the Geek and a Pete Walker slasher called Schizo that is part of this Pete Walker collection that I have. And at 1 p.m. Eastern Time will be me and Candace having another episode of Friday Foolish. However, we were going to be talking about favorite horror masks and favorite horror characters. However, due to the sad news that Shelley Duvall has passed away, and Shelley Duvall was a splendid actress. I absolutely love Shelley Duvall, as many people did. And she was in Kubrick's version of The Shining. So instead of we're going to wait to talk about the favorite horror masks and horror characters until the following week. But this Friday, we're going to be talking about the life and career of Shelley Duvall in honor of the lovely and talented Miss Shelley Duvall. So be sure to tune in for all of that coming up tomorrow. Yes, rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. And I actually put that on the Discord. I found a very nice picture of Shelley Duvall. And Speaking of that, before I get to the movies, I would like to remind those of you that are in here, if you haven't heard me talk about the half a dozen times that I have, that's how you found out, Blissful. Well, see, the Discord's good for some things, isn't it? Um, so, um, I do have a Discord. I have a Patreon for the Deadites on Deck channel, and me and Candace are starting up Waiting on Woodstock, which is going to be the sister channel to Deadites on Deck. Has nothing to do with horror movies per se, but we may cover some horror movies from the 60s. Um, but I encourage you to check that out. I will be sure to let or let all of you know, rather, not some of you, all of you know, as soon as we have some actual content up on the Waiting on Woodstock channel. But I will give you the link for the Discord, the Patreon, and the new Waiting on Woodstock channel. So, first of all, now that I've remembered where this will be the link for the Discord channel. The Discord is free. I don't guess it's really a channel, but the Discord, it is free. You don't have to pay anything. Just click on the link, accept the invite, create your account, and you're ready to start talking in there. We've got a lot of different topics that you can pick from to talk about. You can introduce yourself in the general discussion if you would like. Um, Blissful has already joined, as have a few others. So feel free to stop by and see if the Discord is something that you would care to continue with and talk to people on. The Patreon for Deadites on Deck, I have 3 different tiers. The highest price tier is only $25. And I will tell you what you get for that. Let me just put this link. And I also have, I believe I have the links in the description for the video or stream. So I'm going to go through these tiers really quickly. So there's the $5 a month Seller Deadite tier. This is for the average fan of Deadites on Deck. And what's included in this? New members will be recognized via a monthly video shout out and the ability to vote on upcoming watch alongs and live stream topics. Cannot talk. And also, this includes things that you would like for me to review. If you, let's say, you want me to review Evil Dead 2013, you can do that if you're paying the $5 a month Seller Deadite membership. Okay, so the second tier is the Henrietta Deadite $10 a month tier. This is for the ultra fan of Deadites on Deck. You'll get all the perks from the first tier, plus access to exclusive commentaries not available for general consumption. And that means if I do a commentary or a watch along for a particular movie and I deem that to be an exclusive commentary, I will put it only available for the members of the Henrietta Deadite tier for $10 a month. Plus, you get live members only chats and an exclusive Evil Dead chick butt. So the final tier is the Groovy tier. This is the $25 a month tier. This is for the hardcore Deadites on Deck fan. This tier includes all the perks of the previous 2 tiers, plus the ability to request certain movies for the Deadites on Deck team to do watch-alongs for, and your choice of an official Deadites on Deck t-shirt, hat, or mouse pad. So the final thing I want to put a link into the chat for is the new Waiting on Woodstock channel on YouTube. Well, I may need Ginger to heal me. Seriously, I've been going through. Well, Blissful could tell you I've been going through a lot of, health issues, stress issues, all of that. Blissful, you say you can't wait for the hats. Yeah, I'm really excited. I haven't even tried pressing my first hat yet. Um, but I did want to show you what the Deadites on Deck design is going to be. It's not going to say Evil Dead Chick, but it is going to have this design. But instead of Evil Dead Chick in that font, it will say Deadites on Deck. So you will get this design, only it won't say Evil Dead Chick. It'll say Deadites on Deck. You think they'll turn out great? Well, I sure hope so, Blissful. I sure hope so. So, all right, now we're ready finally to get to these movies. So the first movie, oh, thank you, Ginger. I appreciate it. The first movie is a Swedish shot on video film from 1983. Like I said, it's only 80 minutes, but I'm going to be totally honest with you guys and gals in here tonight that it seems a lot longer. Not really a good film. It's better than Blonde Death. I will say that. Slightly better than Blonde Death, okay? Um, so what is this wonderful movie about? We've all seen this before, right? Or seen similar films like this. An escaped lunatic terrorizes an all-girl rock band after their bus fails in the woods. That's your basic plot. Nothing complicated to get in the way, as Joe Bob says a lot of the times. So, this is a Swedish slasher produced by the editor of a pop magazine, uh, OKEJ. I don't know even how to begin to pronounce that. This is also called, in, I guess, Swedish, Blodaren. I'm probably terribly mispronouncing that. What it was is an attempt to capitalize on American horrors popular at the time. Now, the Swedish censors were really stringent. They were really hard on filmmakers. And so the filmmakers, even if they were horror filmmakers, couldn't put a lot of gore, and they couldn't be excessively violent or bloody. Um, I wouldn't agree that there are enthralling performances in here. To me, it seemed like the girls in the rock band pretty much sleepwalked through the entire film. Um, and the chase sequences weren't that great either. That's right, Ginger. A bunch of young girls stranded in the woods. What could possibly go wrong, right? So, Ike Erickson, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think he was a real rock drummer in Sweden. So he plays the balding, long haired maniac um, who pushes around a baby carriage. So we have a backstory for this guy. He had a blood disease that causes him to constantly bleed from his eyes. I don't know how he keeps from like dying of blood loss, but why try to find logic in a shot on video horror film, right? So the story goes that his mother was so upset when they found out that he had an incurable disease, blood disease, that she decides to kill herself and her young son by drowning. So she rows them out in a boat or canoe or whatever and dumps herself and her young son into the water, meaning for them both to drown, leaving behind a husband, the squire, as they refer to him as. Um, and So, um, we have a young couple who the guy is telling this story, and he says, "My father rescued the boy, but he suffered from brain damage because he was underwater too long, and didn't, was without oxygen for too long. And the mother did drown, and then the squire moved away, and the boy lost his mind and was sent to an asylum. Well, yeah, but what happens when they go to an asylum? They break out, right? So you have Ginger, you say, I'm glad you give a good synopsis. I try, and I try to warn you guys and gals about this stuff so that hopefully, you don't have to suffer through some of the stuff that I have to suffer through, right? I thought I was going to like this one in the beginning, but then it it just seemed to trudge along without any real excitement to me. The imagery was good. They go inside the big house where the bleeder is, and there's like blood in the bathtub. There's blood uh, in, I don't know if they called it a coffee cup, but you know what it looked like to me? It looked like a rich person's bedpan. It did not look like a coffee cup. So I don't know what they were talking about, but beware if you do watch this. And Steve had to download it for me. The subtitles, because it is in Swedish, but amazingly enough, when the girl rock band is singing at one part, it's all in English. Go figure. I don't know. Um, but the subtitles are done by one Dr. Death. And that doesn't sound like a professional subtitling company to me. So the subtitles are going to be a little off. Now, I think that someone may have released this. I'm not 100% sure. Now, I know the AFGA has released a lot of these shot on video films, and they have come out through or on pre order currently through Vinegar Syndrome. Now, I already have Blood Lake, which I'm going to be talking about on a later episode of I Know What You Shot on Video, which that one's very entertaining to me. But back to the bleeder, okay? Um, so you have this house, this mansion, there's trash all over the place, there's peeling walls, and they evidently filmed in a dangerous area where people could have become injured. Um, I don't know. I don't agree with this either. In the book Analog Nightmares that I have that talks about a lot of these shot on video horror films. They say the film technically impresses beyond American counterparts, and the opening sequence wonderfully sets the tone. I have to respectfully disagree with that because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what movie these people saw, but it doesn't appear to be the bleeder. So the music is a direct rip-off and a bad rip-off of that, of John Carpenter's Halloween theme. Um, and the film, according to Analog Nightmares, feels like a Friday the 13th Texas Chainsaw Massacre amalgamation with shades of Anthropophagus. I can see all of those things in there, but they're not very well done. Um, and there is a girl in the rock band who has bells on her boots, which ring every time she's running. Okay. And there's a lot of running in this. But the girl at the beginning, who her boyfriend is telling her the story of the bleeder, when she's being chased by the bleeder, she's just walking. I'm like, what the heck? Why are you just, walking? Then she starts running. So, yeah. Um, and I guess this guy is a cop. I don't know. He looks little more than a college student in stonewashed jeans and a jean jacket and a rat tail. And I said, Steve, I asked Steve, I said, did guys have rat tails back in 1983? And he said, nah, I'm thinking it was a little bit later. So this guy has a braided rat tail as well, and a gold necklace and all that. And yeah. Again, I don't know if you want to bother seeking this movie out or not. Um, it was apparently shot with only one camera, and it was slightly re-edited in 2005, which I think was the version I saw because it had a 2005 copyright date on the end, for a DVD release. Now, I don't know if the DVD release was in the States or not, but it shortened the girls' band performance. Um, but the director rumored that Gene Simmons from Kiss was cast as the maniac to help boost audience interest. So essentially, he lied and told people, yeah, Gene Simmons in here, he's playing the killer, just to drum up interest for the movie. Okay. So, Ginger, Blissful, since y'all are the only two chatting in here tonight, would you like me to use the Deadites rating scale for these films tonight? And if you do, I will be glad to do so. Yeah, that's what I thought, Ginger. You say, yup, rat tails were late 80s, if I recall. Blissful says, I want to add bells to a pair of boots now. And she says, Ginger, yes, 87 or 88. Ginger, you're right. No, bells are a dead giveaway of your location unless the killer is hearing impaired. Okay, so Ginger votes for me to do the voting with the Deadites rating scale, or the rating rather, and I'm sure Blissful won't mind. So, all right, gang, here we go. I am going to give this one, imagine a half, because I'm so lazy that I have not had created the half deadite yet. So imagine a half there, because I'm going to give this one 2.5 deadites out of 5. And I'm sorry, but that's all I can possibly give this film. Okay. Blissful, that's only if you don't have to use halves. Oops. I did. I did use halves. All right. So the next one I want to talk about tonight is Blonde Death, which I know that Blonde Death is available on Vinegar Syndrome, I believe, for pre-order now. So go out and pre-order your copy if you are at all interested after I talk about this in seeing this wonderful movie. Hey, Batman. Ooh, Chinese throwing stars. That's interesting. Um, So, Blonde Death, I did not get to refresh my memory of this film, so I'm going on memory of when I saw this the first time around. I think the reason why you can't find this for free to watch anymore is because Vinegar Syndrome is soon going to be putting this out. So, this also came out in 1983 or 1984, depending on who you ask, or who you reference. What book you reference, but this is the Analog Nightmares book, which I've showed this before. This is the shot on video horror films of 1982 to 1995. It's a very good reference book for these types of films. Um, this stars, and don't be expecting to know any of these people. This stars Sarah Lee Wade, Jack Cantillano, Scott Ingram, Linda Miller, and Ann Kern. And the director is James Dillinger, otherwise known as James Robert Baker, with music, get this, folks, by the Angry Samoans. Okay? So, teenage Southerner Tammy leaves Mississippi and moves to California with her abusive father and her religious stepmother. She's bursting with rebellion, so she finds herself home alone and quickly lets her ambitions, probably that's inhibitions, it should be, fly. She dances in her underwear. Oh no, not dances in her underwear. Yes, she does. And watching nonstop MTV. MTV will rot your brain, right, folks? I watched my share of MTV back in the day. So, but after spending a day at the beach with her eye patch wearing friend, and I don't recall if they ever say why her friend has got an eye patch, but her eye patch wearing friend is a lesbian constantly making advances towards her, and she just kind of shrugs it off. And yeah, those crazy 80s, that's right, Blissful. Um, Batman, you said I did some on Home Alone, did some research on Home Alone, and Kevin did have two older brothers and two older sisters, and Angela Goatfalls was one of them. Well, I thank you for sharing, Batman. I appreciate that. Batman is very good at researching. So so we get, this gets better. Well, I don't know if it gets better, but there's more. Okay, so the girls return home to find that an escaped inmate has broken into the house. He holds Tammy hostage, but then Tammy turns the tables on the escapee by grabbing his gun while he takes a shower. And you want to know what Tammy's demand is? I want you to kiss me. What a demand. Soon the two have a simmering romance as they tie up and kill Tammy's parents and other random bystanders. And it literally is that random. I like the little blurb that Analog Nightmares puts in here. Oliver Stone must have loved this movie. We have hilarious one liners like, they filled my mind full of crazy thoughts like running nude through a Kmart or sitting on Richard Gere's face. Um, Technically, they list this more of a black comedy than horror. Although the premise is ripe with exploitation, and there's where I would totally agree with them that this is an exploitation film through and through, not a well executed exploitation film. There are a lot better ones out there before and during and after the time period in which this movie was made. Um, Ginger, you say rock and roll, devil music, and hokey holy underwear. uh, but so the director had a previous short which I have not seen. Maybe we can do a little research on our own and figure out if we can find this, called Mouse Club Confidential, revolved around a Disney Mouseketeer turned gay bondage photographer. Um, Evidently, Baker, the director, has an anti-Disney motif that carries throughout the film. They actually have a mass poisoning during the ending of the film inside the Disneyland park itself, naturally filmed without a permit. because these shot on video people, oh, they're wacky. They film without permits all the time. I don't care about the characters and I don't want them to succeed, so I disagree with that. We have the subject matter of abusive parents, murders, eye gouging. Yeah. The film portrays religion as ineffectual quotes of dialogue and charismatic performances. I wouldn't say there's charismatic performances either. Um, but it does make religion look like rhetorical nonsense. I do remember that. Um, Blonde Death is ultimately making a statement against the norms of society, most of which are designed to control the masses. Um, and the film supposedly asks the viewer to question norms or die trying. Disney may own the land, but we live in it. An excellent example of analog hilarity and a winning shot on video thriller. Highly recommended. Now, again, this book, you have to take the stuff that's said with a grain of salt. I truly believe that it's tongue in cheek, right? Ginger, you said blue light special on Mr. Goodbar. Batman, you say, I just checked out a gross movie called Thanatomorphose. It's about a woman who decomposes from the inside out. Ooh, that does sound gross. Um, Ginger, you say, wow, he must have had a bad childhood trauma on the teacup ride. Something evidently must have happened. Um, but so anyway, let's go ahead and give a rating for Blonde Death, shall we? I'm going to give this one, I can't even give it a 2, and I can't get it, definitely can't give it a 2.5. I'm just going to have to give this one a 1. Um, Not really interested in all in ever seeing Blonde Death again, unless I've been drinking or doing other substances, then I might. But yeah, I can't really, you're free to seek it out if you want to. But out of the two, Bleeder or Blonde Death, I would say definitely take your chances with Bleeder. At least Bleeder to me is more entertaining. Um, but I want to remind you that the next episode I have on I Know What You Shot on Video, which will be a couple of weeks from now, will be Copperhead, also from 1983, and Suffer Little Children, also from 1983. Copperhead is 95 minutes. Suffer Little Children is 76 minutes. I've seen Suffer Little Children. I think Steve may have this film actually. It's a crazy little film. I ain't even gonna kid you about that. Um, but I guess that's all from me tonight. I am a little wiped out, so I think I'm going to call it an early night. But I want to thank all of you that joined me tonight as I talked about these couple of shot on video films from the early 80s. Thank you, Blissful and Ginger and Batman, for joining me in the chat. You kept me laughing as we discussed these movies, so I really appreciate that. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, great live, Dana. And on that note, I'm off like a dirty shirt. But I want to remind you, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday, and let's make Friday a kick ass Friday, right? And push ourselves into a fantastic summertime weekend. And good night, Blissful. Good night, everybody else in the chat. Thank you, Ginger. It was great seeing you as well. You said it was great seeing you, Dana. Always a joy whenever I see you. And you as well, Ginger. I always like seeing you in here. Our friendly faces are few and far between, so I love seeing you guys and gals in here. So, with that being said, I'm out of here for the night, and I will see everybody next time. Bye for now, folks.